everybody. Come on, get the fuck up in here. Let's talk about it. But first, I have a very important announcement to make. Truly's for the win.
Moscow, Idaho, the University of Idaho. Student murders. November 13, 2022. 1122 King Road, Moscow, Idaho. A four-door sedan was seen in the immediate area of the crime scene, arriving at 4:04 a.m. and seen leaving at 4:20 a.m. This camera footage was given to an FBI forensic examiner with 35 years experience, 12 of those with the FBI. This FBI agent has specific training to include identifying unique characteristics of vehicles, and he uses a database that gives visual clues of vehicles across states to identify differences between vehicles. The neighborhood of the King Road crime scene had numerous cameras, of which was turned over to this FBI agent. From that footage, he initially believed...
And that would be a lie, ladies and gentlemen. Let's just kick off the lie right here. Lie number one, if you go take a look at those documents that just dropped, you will see that every 1112 King Road video, ladies and gentlemen, came back as being not able to be opined. That's a fact. That's a fact off of the FBI report. We're going to get into that. Now, I'm not going to make you guys wait too long to hear this name. That's your person, suspect number one right here. Cole. Who the fuck is Cole? Well, ladies and gentlemen, Cole. Cole was in marketing with Maddie. Cole was the same age as Bryan Kohlberger, maybe 1 year younger. Cole. Who is Cole? Well, Cole is your suspect, number one. Cole, tell me about Cole, Anna. Well, Cole was a culinary specialist for the motherfucking army. What? He lived where? Lauder, 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 you know, right there next to the house. Lauder. Wait, who? Yeah, a culinary specialist for the military, for the army. Say what? His DNA was tested up against the fingernails of Madison Mogen. Say what? Who is this Cole boy? Culinary specialist. He was in the army. I want to talk about that knife. Well, who is this Cole? Cole dude. Well, let me tell you how Cole he is. Cole, come on down. Cole Barenberg. Culinary as in knives. Yes, Cole Barenberg. Suspect. Now, I would just love to know what number did Dylan save in her phone at 3:51 a.m.? 3:51 a.m. 3:51 a.m. Dylan saved a phone, saved a contact in her phone. What? I thought Dylan was sleeping. Sleeping on that dick. I have no idea what she was sleeping on. Last time I checked, Cole. Yes, Cole Barenberg. Okay. 90 to 95% of the time, when you use your cell phone to save a contact, it's because you're in the company of a human being. And because they say, hey, what's your number? Hey, we're here, let's exchange digits, okay? And then you take your phone, right? And you then, I'm notorious for doing this. Hey, I just hand my phone to somebody and I'm like, here, just like you type it in. You know what I mean? That way I don't get it wrong. Because I've done that before where like they're saying their number and then like I'll switch the 2 last digits and I'll put them, in different order. Because my brain's just so but I went and looked up a very, very important statistical number. And I wanted to know, wait a second. Normally when you save somebody's number, it's like, when I say normally, I'm talking like a high percentage. That person is right in front of you and you're exchanging your number. You're getting their information and you're putting it in. Dylan Mortensen, the night of the murder, at 3:51 a.m., added a new contact to her phone, ladies and gentlemen. Do you guys know what that means? That means that Dylan wasn't sleeping and didn't awake at 4 a.m. Not only that, but Dylan is quoted because she was recorded all these times. And she said, poof, I just like bounced up and I just like awoke, like out of the blue. Do you know the other time that you save somebody's number, guys? Is when you're on the phone with somebody, like in the Karen Reed case, and somebody is giving you somebody's number when you're on the phone with them, okay? Or when somebody texts you their number, when another person texts you with somebody else's number, okay? When someone's phone is going to die, you could potentially put somebody's, hey, hurry up, put this number in your phone, okay, because my phone's about to die. So, but that requires 2 things. Either I'm in your presence and you're giving me your number, or I am physically communicating with you via texting, okay? So, now, let me go like this. Very important here. A couple things. When they did the testing underneath Maddie's fingernails, one of the things that they did is it was a likely ratio, so that's LR, and they assumed that Maddie was the main contributor and that Kaylee was one of the other contributors, okay? And that then they took Jack DeCour, Cole Barenberg, Ethan Chapin, Xana Kernodle, and Bethany. Those are the only people that they attempted to match with that third unknown. So they did Kaylee, Maddie, and they did it, and Bryan Kober. But obviously before they got to Bryan Kober and his name even being on the map, they tested Jack DeCour, Cole, Ethan, Xana, and Bethany. And I said, why didn't they test Dylan's? They didn't test Dylan's? It's kind of weird. They're going to test all these other people's, right? But Ethan Chapin, he had the highest likelihood that the DNA belonged to, was Ethan Chapin. You know who was the second highest? Cole Ryan Barenberg, belonging to those underneath the fingernails. If it was Maddie, Kaylee, Cole Barenberg. You know what I said to myself though? Why in the world would they ever go and get Cole's? Who is Cole? Why would they ever test Cole? Well, Cole was their number one suspect. Number one suspect. Person of interest. Ulterior Cole. Well, Cole went to the University of Idaho. Did I tell you guys that Cole was a manager at Big Five Sports where they sell knives? What? He was also a culinary specialist with the Army. What? He also has a bunch of brothers. He's 28, 29 years old. One of his brothers just passed away in August of 2023, and it was suddenly. You know, when people talk like that, I'm just gonna say it. Usually, if it's somebody that like lost their battle with cancer, or this person's young, 31 at the time, that's usually drug related. Sad to say, or it could be because somebody took their own life. But to say that when you abruptly lose your life and you weren't sick or anything like that. Now, do you want to know how many aliases Cole Berenberg has? A lot. You want to know what else Cole Berenberg is really good with? Him and his family, his brothers, he's got like half siblings, by the way. And mind you, I don't think these are the 4 brothers, by the way. I don't. But his family and himself work in labs, work with software. I mean, it's very, very interesting. But when I heard about, culinary, not the knife, back it all up, right? So go ahead. They tested this dude up under the fingernails. And then I said to myself, well, this dude's name had to come from somebody. Okay. And it usually comes from, hey, who are you hanging out with? Hey, what were you guys doing that night? Hey, who were you with? And who did they interview the most? Well, my records show that they interviewed Dylan the most. So let's talk about a couple things. And the first thing I want to talk about is these text messages. Not that one. Not that one. Here we go. I'm going to use Hector. Well, let's just say the state kind of misled us. Let's say the state kind of misled us here. So let's take a look here. Come on down, Hector, do your job. Welcome, Hector. Yeah, if you're coming in, slap that thumbs up, make yourself known. There we go. Boom. Land has been busy digging up dirt. You know that's right. Again, guys, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up. Let anybody and everybody that wants to know, this is the facts, nothing but the motherfucking facts. I take stuff from the documents. All right. So, Ann Taylor and company. So this is the response. So the defendant's objection to the state's motion limine about the text messages that made everybody go crazy, okay? And the big thing here is that the state is seeking a broad scope, okay, of cell phone records. Remember what I told you guys? I said, I don't understand when everybody wants to talk about this case and they just think that they can do things off of the cell phone text messaging. I told you guys that the Snapchats are really, really important in this case, and they have a shit ton in them. And I noticed that when the state disclosed their stuff, they just wanted to talk about text messages or phone calls. That's it. They didn't mention anything else. And I was like, oh God, Anne's going to have a field day with this. Only because I know what I know, and I know that all the Snapchatting that was going on way before the police were called. I told you Dave was a real person. I told you he had more or less like evidence on his phone because he was part of these groups and shit like that. So with that said, when Anne writes back to it, this is what she's saying. And she's saying that, hey, the state, okay, the state is seeking a broad scope of cell phone records for two stated purposes. One is to establish a timeline, and the other is for the truth of the statements contained in the record. The span of the time the state seeks to encompass is about a 10-hour time frame. The state indicates the initial text is the beginning of the time frame at 2:10. Clearly, Anne has a problem with that. So the state wants to start their timeline at 2:10 as per the documents. Anne is saying, no way. And that so that 2:10 a.m., that text is not offered for the truth of the matter. Similarly, at the end of the time frame is a text from the University of Idaho at 1:04 p.m. You know, the state grounds its request in the rule of evidence and a previous decision by Judge. So they're going to go back and forth about the law of the case, okay? So the state relies on Judge's conclusion in Mr. Kohlberger's challenge to the grand jury indictment. This is about the grand jury. This was before things were even known. So when the grand jury was told things and what they presented to the grand jury, all right, what they're going to talk about right here is that we've come a long way since the grand jury. And it's not because of the defense. It's because if you don't open things, you can't discover things. If you don't look into things, you can't discover things. So there is actually I guess you could say, a strategy for the prosecutors and investigators that, hey, put in a Dropbox and I just don't open it. So then therefore I didn't discover it. Okay. I don't have to turn it over. But it also goes to all this crap, which, you know, the state was like, we're going grand jury because they knew that Ann Taylor had caught on to their whole IGG shit. Now, however, that decision does not bind this court. The law of the case doctrine allows where an appellate court pronounces a principle of law necessary to the decision. Citing some cases, when considering whether or not the text messages is either an excited utterance or a present sense impression, this court will have the benefit of additional information than was available previously, which is huge. This court will have the benefit of additional information. Like I said, because they didn't have it then. I should take that back. It was there. They just purposely did not uncover it. Even if the court determined Judge's decision was the law of the case, this court has discretion to hear and decide the issues presented before the court. So what they're saying is that just because Judge agreed and said, okay, yeah, this is utterance, this is excited, this beats the hearsay exception rule. Okay. That was based on the information that Judge had then. Awesome. Well, the court is not ignorant, and you can't claim that if there's new information, and there's a ton of new information, a ton. So for starters, the trial court's discretion to change its own pretrial ruling, especially evidentiary rulings, studying a case, The state seeks admission of certain taxes for the truth of the matter asserted as exceptions to the rule against hearsay. Now, although the rule does not expressly state factors of trustworthiness, which is really big here, and that it plays a large role in a trial court's decision whether to admit a declarant's expression of his state of mind or whether to exclude it under IRE 403, as well as in the decision whether to admit or exclude content of additional statements accompanying that expression. Both exceptions require the statements to be contemporaneous with an event and be spontaneous without time for reflection. And now this is where it's big. In this case, I said this. I said, you guys, there's a rule and it's called the completeness of evidence rule. Okay, the completeness of evidence. And that is what Ann Taylor is going to argue, is that both exceptions require the statements to be, in this case, the rule of completeness is critical, both to analyze the claim of an excited utterance and to understand the context of what was occurring. Mr. Culber has maintained his innocence. Thus, the time frame the state alleges is very much at issue. The time frame when this happened, just like Drake, just like the Moore case. And you guys are going to see how much it looks like the Moore Drake case when we talk about the car. The rule of completeness is about fairness. The rule recognizes that context is key in understanding evidence. The state is seeking a select portion of phone records to come in a trial under exceptions to the rule against hearsay. First, the court must be aware of the excluded portions of the phone records. And second, Mr. Culber asserts the full records must be made available. Mr. Culber herein provides a more complete but not exhaustive review of DM and BF's communications and interactions with social media during the hours established by the state. These are provided. Objection to state's motion limine right there. Text exhibits 1 and 2, DM and BF phone records for phone activity during the state's timeline. So this came up in the suppression, but in a way, motion limine. It couldn't come up during the suppression, okay, guys, because they didn't use this or any part of it to obtain anything, because they didn't go in searching for it. These people knew what they were doing. All right. They didn't open it. Right here. 2:10:29. DM text to EG. Oh, here we got it right back. 2.5 minutes later, EG texted DM confirming he was driving. Missing from the state's timeline, 2:53. Maddie Mogan calls BF. You ready for this? Well, my first problem with this was I said, okay, well, Steve Gonsalves is not accurate, nor is anybody from the family speaking that at 2:52, because they claim that they had Maddie's phone as well, at 2:52, that everything ceased on those two devices. That they were trying to call Jack Decor, right? Madison Mogan called BF at 2:53. Hella important. Now, Ann Taylor's not a moron. Are there stuff between 2:53 and 3:51? Absolutely. But Ann Taylor does not need to show her hand. Next. So 3:51 and 3 seconds. I mean, I literally thought And Taylor was like, it's your birthday, Lana. Here, I'm going to give this to you. DM creates a new contact in her phone. I said, are you fucking kidding me? Do you want to know why this is important? Because in all of DM's interviews, she said that she went to bed between 3 and 3:20. 3 and 3:20. She went to bed. Dylan is allegedly at home in her room at 3:51, and she's creating a new contact in her phone. Okay, ready? I then went and pulled out the make and model of suspect vehicle. And I compared it to this outline that they did. Okay. This is the FBI's report. I'm going to show you guys something. So this is from the 1112 King Road, Moscow. Summary: headlights are seen traveling south on the lane to drive behind the 112 or the 1119 King Road. Before this, 340. A vehicle matching the description of the vehicle one is seen traveling west on Queen Road, turning north up into King Road. Headlights can be seen shining on the trees to the west of the intersection of King Road and Taylor. So it's like this is when the white car's leaving. All right. So right here, 3:39. This is why I think I made a post about this. 3:39 a.m. Summary: a vehicle matching the description of vehicle one travels east on Queens. So it's like coming into the neighborhood. Okay. The vehicle turns south along the east side of the building, then turns west along the south side of the building. So it's like going around. After it comes, it's driving past the house is over here. So comes past the house, goes up, and then this is where that camera angle is, and it circles like around to come down and around like that. Well, I paid attention to this. Take a look at this. 3:39 and 7 seconds, right? I was paying attention to these loops. If someone's not stopping and waiting, and they're just doing something continuously, it's going to be quicker. And that's what you see, except for this time, where 3:39 goes up and around. 3:39, 35 seconds. The headlights briefly shine on upper exterior of 1127 because it's coming around the back. And then 3:39, 3:40, 3:41 right here. This vehicle is 339, 339, right there. All it's doing is making these loops. Oh yeah, no, here it was. Sorry, I messed up. There you go. There's my notes right here. So between 3:30 and now you're going to see right here. See how it's 2 minutes instead of like just 30 seconds. So 3:31, headlights briefly shine on upper exterior of this is the back portion. It's coming around. 3:31, 18 seconds to 3:33 and 1 second there. This is normally just a 20 second to get to where they start talking about this again when it's like leaving and it puts the lights on the trees when it's like leaving out to go Taylor. this normally from this point to this point, when you go through these, you're going to see that that's 1:30 to 1:40 seconds. These other ones are usually just like 20 seconds, 30 seconds when they were doing the loops when I was looking at them. Like 3:38 and 34 seconds, 3:39 and 7 seconds, 3:39 and 35 seconds. This is 1:40 seconds. This is consistent with the white car dropping somebody off because it stops for a minute. And it's like it's letting somebody out. That's what this is consistent with. Versus the other times around that's doing the loop around, it's not stopping for this. And this would be literally 20 minutes before Dylan saves this contact in her phone. So I just wanted to show you what was going on with the vehicle. And now I'm going to go back to this. So at 3:51 and 3 seconds, when Dylan is creating this new contact in her phone, right? Then a vehicle matching the description of vehicle 1 turns east onto Paradise Drive from Ridge Road. A reflection of the headlights indicates the vehicle may have made an immediate U-turn back onto Ridge Road northbound, or that really never happened, and now this is going to be a completely different car again. Just showing that out there. Then back here at 3:50 and 27 seconds, we have the headlights are seen traveling north on Molenta, back behind the 1119 King Road. Then the headlights are seen traveling on Molenta, back behind 1119. See 3:50 and 27 seconds, 3:51 and 26 seconds. That's like a whole minute though. All right. So that would be consistent, you guys, with somebody that's like pulling off the side of the road. Pulling off the side of the road and waiting, because you shouldn't be from the camera angles that they're using. Where this car would have been here to where it would have been here, it should just be a couple seconds. It should not be a whole fucking minute. It's like something's weird going on over there. And you guys know this is the, you know where the party house was? I showed you guys the body cam where the parents were at the party as well. And if that's the house that butts up to where Jack D lived, like over there, like you could see. Okay. So this vehicle, whatever vehicle it is, all right, between the 3:30 and the 3:33 time frame, it takes a longer period of being there, like it's letting somebody out or picking somebody up, doing something like that. Okay, next. So going back to here, Dylan. Then if you go take the bushy eyebrows doc, which I couldn't even believe this when I was reading this. Okay, you go and you take the bushy eyebrow doc. Look at this. DM gave a detailed reaccounting of what she did on Saturday. Like, didn't miss a beat. So she couldn't have been that fucked up or doesn't remember shit, right? Doesn't miss a beat. DM gave a detailed recounting of what she did on Saturday, November 12th, 2022, until she went to bed at approximately 3:20 a.m. on Sunday, November 13th. You see that right there? Until she went to bed at approximately 3:20. Here's me saying, no, sorry. Sorry. She's saving a contact in her phone at 3:51. Let me guess, that's an Albert's butt dial, right? Okay. So this is the state saying, defendant's exhibit, sometime between 4 a.m. and 4:20, DM woke up and heard a male's voice. a voice that she did not recognize saying, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." Guess what the tagline is for Cole, where he works? I put it out on the community page. "We're here to help you" is their tagline. We're here to help you. That's the tagline for where he works. We're here to help you is the tagline for the company that Cole works for. Take that. There you go, Ann Taylor. But I couldn't believe what she said here. Someone caused it from my mind. It's like I was almost wearing these like blurry glasses. Those are called beer goggles. Like it's fuzzy and cloudy. And going on to talk about like her waking up. Wait though. I about passed out when I saw this. This is damaging. Dylan said that after she was, called in, "Hey, this is who we arrested. Have you seen a picture of him?" Okay. She says, "Yeah, I looked him up today when I found out." Well, guess what I found out too? On December 29th, they arrest Bryan Kober, but guess what? The following day, on December 30th, 47 days, DM was interviewed by Idaho State police detectives in Coeur d'Alene. Did Dylan go to Maddie and Kaylee's the celebration of life that Steve had for Kaylee and Maddie? Because I said, why in the world is Dylan being interviewed in Coeur d'Alene? Her family, they live in Boise. I said, oh, wow. I said, you know what? On the 29th, I said, that's when Kaylee and Madison had their celebration of life in Coeur d'Alene. Because I was like, why would she ever be interviewed in Coeur d'Alene? Then I saw that date and I remembered what she was doing, what she would have been doing up in Coeur d'Alene. And it would make sense. And so that brings me to a whole world of questions with the relationship that was developing there between, I would love to know, you guys just go ahead and think about that for a minute. So, she testified to the grand jury and said she woke up around 4 a.m. to noises, music, Murphy, talking, and or singing. The fuck? DM testified she opened her door and heard a man's voice say, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." And I didn't know who the man's voice was. You guys, wait for it. I said, wow. I said, let's hear what they think is consistent. In this case, on 4 separate occasions prior to Bryan Kober being arrested, prior, because wait till you see what she says after he's arrested, because after is a completely different story. It's devastating to the case. She says, I would have remembered if that was him. He doesn't pop out to me at all. I would remember. These are the consistent things that she said. White male, wearing all black, few inches taller than DM, wearing a mask, skinny, athletic built tone, not a voice she recognized. During 3 of those interviews, DM also consistently describes the male's eyebrows 5 times. DM uses the term bushy. Okay. I said, 3:51 a.m., new contact. Do they have bushy eyebrows for new contact? This is where I about fell over. In quotes, I don't know if I was still drunk. Probably was. I don't know for sure. I was really asleep. I woke up out of nowhere. I woke up out of nowhere. Are you kidding me? She just put a contact in her phone at 3:51 a.m. This is devastating. This is not accurate. I just woke up out of nowhere. What? I woke up out of nowhere. She woke up at 4 a.m. from putting a contact in her phone at 3:51. Do you understand this is a lie? Nobody can just wake up out of nowhere when they put something in their phone at 3:51, all right? And then they're waking up at 4 out of nowhere. I said, 3:51 a.m. saving account to her phone. She just woke up out of nowhere. And I was obviously probably still a little bit drunk. I just woke up. I don't remember fully. I believe I was also very drunk. I don't know how much of this was real. I don't care about any of these comments. This is all that matters, is that no, you didn't just wake up. You were up. You put a new contact in your phone at 3:51 a.m. You know what people do after they hook up with people? And you don't really know them, but you brought them home and you're like doing whatever with them. And then they're about to leave and you like store their number in your phone because you just hooked up with them. And so you would put somebody's new contact in your phone. Do you also know what I do? Not because I'm drunk. I hand my phone to people. Here, just you put it in. This is me trying to give somebody grace that, okay, was Dylan hooking up, okay? But then like none of this other stuff could be possible because maybe she doesn't want to say, I don't know, I was fucking and we were so loud. You think I heard anything? I was banging. Well, again, this is me trying to give grace here, but I'm telling you, the grace is slowly slipping, okay? Because this is not accurate. This is not like how the state wanted to present this whole information is that we're not going to use anybody's Snapchats. We're not going to use anybody's, we are just going to use phone calls, select ones at that, between from BF's phone and Dylan's phone. But we're not going to talk about anything else that was going on with these phones. And so, yes, when you do that, it paints a different picture, okay? But when you use an extraction and a download from somebody's phone and you get into it and you go ahead and you put all that shit on timeline, guys, it's 2025. There's no calling and texting like what am I Googling, okay? What app am I on sending a snap? Like, text messaging is so outdated to these kids. So this, I woke up out of nowhere. The fuck you did. You, Dylan Mortensen, your phone, unless some guy was in your bed laying there with you and took your phone and put his contact in your phone after he just fucking, you know what? Okay? You didn't just wake up out of nowhere. You, Dylan, took your phone and at 3:51, you put in a new contact. You know what they made a big deal about in the Karen Reed case? That exact motherfucking thing. That Jennifer McCabe made a new contact in her phone, right? At 6:08, 6:09. Called her sister twice. Do you know what it takes to put a contact in your phone? It just doesn't happen like by itself, you guys. Well, now the question is who is the contact that was added to the phone? Well, maybe it was Cole. Maybe that's why he's a fucking suspect. Cole. But Cole knew, Cole was in Maddie's, marketing shit. Maybe Maddie didn't give Cole the time of day because Cole's a loser and he, is 29 and school still to her. Here we go. Ready? 4:19. Now, also, if you think that there's nothing between 3:51 and 4:19 in the phones, I find that highly. And I just have to put everything out there that her people have discovered. Okay. But 4:19, Bethany calls Dylan. And I think that's important. This was left out on the state's ticket as well. Bethany being the person to call Dylan. Think about it. Think about this. If you call somebody, in a house because you're like lazy, you don't want to run up and down steps or whatever, I call you because I don't want to go upstairs, so I call you. Or I call you because you're not there and I want to know where you're at. Okay? So 4:19, Bethany calls Dylan. So it's two things. Either you're lazy, you don't want to go upstairs, right? Or you're calling this person because they're not there, 4:20. Now, it doesn't say if they talk or not. I think that they talk because of this call right here. 4:20, DM calls Xana. Now, explain this to me, y'all. Explain this to me. If DM has already gotten up and out of her bed allegedly 3 times, okay, why does she need Bethany to call her first? Bethany calls Dylan, and then Dylan then makes the call to Xana. So versus, I want you guys to understand my thought process here. So why didn't Bethany call Xana? Okay. Bethany calls Dylan first, right? Why didn't Bethany call Xana? People usually could tell people's voices. So why didn't Bethany call Xana? Why didn't Bethany call Ethan? Bethany call Maddie or Kaylee? First call is to Dylan. No answer. And when Dylan then, after they talk, Dylan then calls Xana. Nobody answers, but she doesn't go out to her room. She doesn't go out to her room. Dylan then calls Kaylee. I think 20 seconds will go by. Then look at 8 seconds only. And then DM calls. Now, this is why I think if the phone's dead when you call and it just goes straight to voicemail, you'd hang up. This clearly like rang. But Kaylee's phone went, I think, straight to voicemail because it was dead. That's my take on it. But either way you slice and dice it, DM then calls Bethany and they talk for 41 seconds. Okay. Bethany, after she gets off the phone immediately, look at this, immediately. 28 seconds was the call, lasted 41 seconds. You're immediately calling Xana. Then look at this. Dylan didn't call Maddie in the first go round, right? Okay, Dylan now calls Maddie. Okay. Then BF calls Maddie. BF calls Chapin. Okay. This is where you're just like, these are shotgunning. These are shotgunning. Then DM text to Bethany. Remember, we all knew that this was not the first encounter. Okay. No one is answering. DM to BF. Right after it, I'm really confused. Shotgunning. I'm really confused. DM to Kaylee. Kaylee, what is going on? BF, outgoing message, Snapchat, boom. BF to DM, yeah, dude, WTF. Bethany, Xana was wearing all black. Okay. Remember, Dylan didn't call Bethany. Bethany called Dylan. Okay. Then Bethany is telling DM that Xana was wearing all black. Okay. DM says, no one is answering. I'm really confused right now. She's confused because of whatever BF said to her. Where was it? BF calls DM. See that? That's the first thing that happens is BF does it. Not DM calling. BF calls DM. Then DM calls it. DM calls it. DM calls BF for 41 seconds. Calls her back. What do we think truly transpired on this phone call here? You know, it was like, hey, what's going on up there? Like, what the fuck? I hear all of this stuff. You know, blah, blah, blah. You think, and then do you think DM was like, DM was like, oh my God, I was just getting ready to call you. This masked man just walked right past me. I don't know. I just woke right up. I have no idea. I just woke up. I have no idea what's going on. But I heard, I don't know. I have no idea what's going on. I don't know. Wouldn't you like, what? Bethany calls Dylan. Dylan didn't call Bethany to say that she just saw some masked man walk past her, or I'm really scared. I'm coming down to your room. DM. No, it's like a ski mask almost. Shut the fuck up. Actually. Like he had something over his forehead and mouth. Bethany, I'm not kidding. I am so freaked out. So am I. Phone is going to die. Fuck. Come to my room. Run down here. DM calls Ethan. DM calls Bethany. Bethany to DM. Or I'm sorry, texts. These ones are texts. DM, outgoing call. They don't give up the number. DM, outgoing message, Snapchat. Snapchat. DM calls Kaylee. DM calls Xana. Bethany calls Maddie. Bethany calls Maddie. Bethany calls Kaylee. Bethany calls Kaylee. So this is the first time that Bethany starts making any phone calls, right? DM text Kaylee. BF. Accessed Snapchat. BF. Accessed Instagram. BF. Calls. Okay, so 4:37. Then BF calls her dad. Her dad at 7:30. Do you think that most college kids call their parents at 7:30 in the morning? I guarantee if you go back through her phone records, this has never happened on a Sunday morning at 7:30 a.m. Does Bethany call her dad? Why would Bethany be calling her dad at 7:30 in the morning? Remember I told you guys what happened in the morning? BF calls her dad again at 8. BF calls another number at 8. BF calls home. BF calls her mom. Dad calls BF. Look at what happens here. Looky, looky, looky. Dylan gets on Instagram and is on Instagram for fucking 2 hours. 8 to 10. Bethany at 8:41, she takes photos. Remember what I told you I would have done? What did I tell you I would have done? I would have been taking photos. I would have been video recording. Photos. Mom texts Bethany. 10:01. DM messages, incoming and outgoing Snapchats. What did I tell you guys? What did I tell you guys? Snapchat's going to be lit as a tit. (10:01 and 53 seconds to 10:03 and 5 seconds). DM on Instagram. On Indeed. What the fuck? You guys know what that is? 10:04, 54 seconds to 10:23. DM messages, incoming and outgoing Snapchat. What did I tell you about Snapchat? Now, the state in their disclosures wanted you guys to think that Dylan and Bethany fell asleep in that bedroom downstairs around 4:30, and that they didn't wake up until 10:30 in the morning when Dylan decides to text, and they're trying to make it seem like, Oh, Dylan realizes that nobody ever even got back to me. I'm going to text them again. Please answer. Please answer. Where are you? Or are you up? That's how the state wanted you to think, that these girls were sleeping. These girls were not sleeping. (10:21) or 10:24 to 10. Back on Instagram. 10:30. 10:45. DM messages, incoming and outgoing. More Snapchats. And remember, this is not the exhaustive list. Okay. 11:21 and 53 seconds. JM texts BF. Now, ready for who? Now, who is JM? I have a couple people that I think JM could be. Option number 1, Jenna McClure. Put a 1 in chat if you think it's Jenna McClure. Jenna McClure is the sister to the person that Dylan's engaged to. So here we go. So JM text BF, 11:21 and 53 seconds. Now, if you think that there's a gap here, I want you to pay attention to this big gap. That's an important gap. Do you guys think that Dylan's parents, her dad is a witness? Do you think that Bethany's dad and mom are witnesses? Dylan again. Look at this. Look at that time. Snap. DM texts Kaylee. Kaylee. How can it not be staged at this point? Parents are called. 7:30 in the morning. Why are you calling your parents? You know what it would take to call someone's parents? Kaylee. 11:29, 27 seconds. 11:35 and 36 seconds. DM on Yik Yak. You got to be shitting me. You got to be absolutely shitting me right now. Woo! Gifted 5 Truth and Transparency memberships. Jackie. Does that say Bushable? Jackie's Bush. Love it. Dana gifted 5 Truth and Transparency memberships. Member for 13 months. Love it. Deborah, what is up, girl? 5 Truth and Transparency memberships. Turning people green in the chat. I love it. September, Virgo, Lana, your skills are impeccable all the way around. Thank you so much. I have watched you from the bushes for a while now. Much love and respect. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. That's very kind. James, if indeed you are now Deborah, would you be available? Gail, woo! Almost time to pop, baby. Crying time, welcome. Everyone is asking if I'm new here. Bridget, how have you been? Cheeky. Good to see ya. Yeah, suspect number 1 was the cool guy. Bryan. Yeah. Kimberly, welcome. Backsieger, what is up? Again, good evening and hello, everybody. I'm doing a back-to-back live, so there's one that restarts, so I have them separated. That way people can know the difference of the topics. So then we have the TikTok, then messages in Snap, DM and dad text. So it was, back and forth. BF calls JM. So here JM texts BF. It's a text. Then BF calls JM at 11:49. We're getting close. JM texts Dylan. Okay, I think this stuff is hilarious. Y'all are supposed to be like laying right next to each other, right? So you call her. Look at this. If you're all are laying next to each other, which I don't think it is, I think she called and she said, I don't know, Dylan just left. What do you mean she just left? So then JM texts Dylan, where'd you go? Get the fuck back there. You're not leaving Bethany there. Look at that. That would never go down like that if you were right next to each other. But it would go down if Bethany calls JM to say that I have no idea what the fuck Dylan has done. Something like, you know what I mean? Bethany has that exculpatory. Dylan has exculpatory evidence. Then DM is on Instagram. She's on Instagram. She is on Instagram. She is on Instagram. DM calls. Who is this? Emily. JM texts Dylan again. A minute later. Look at this. Bethany texts JM. JM texts Bethany. JM texts Bethany. Bethany texts JM. JM texts Bethany. Bethany texts JM. Bethany texts JM. Bethany texts JM. JM texts Bethany 3 texts. DM back on Instagram. Look at this. You guys see? That was right before the 911 call. $11:54 and 39 seconds. 911. Dylan isn't part of the 911 call because she's on Instagram. What are all those channels talking about? Really quick. The state has selected text messages as excited utterances and present sense impressions. The totality of circumstances defeat the state's request. BF and DM texted each other a handful of times, and then they were in the same bedroom, allegedly. They were together with the ability to talk to each other, right? They were together with the ability to talk to each other. They were not asleep for 8 hours. The messages the state seeks admission of exceptions to hearsay begin with a call and a message about being confused. After texting each other and unsuccessfully speaking with any of their roommates, the pair were together. The state is looking at the messages with the benefit of hindsight. The analysis has to be done in the moment the utterance were made, text messages in this case. DM first claims confusion. Then after communicating with BF, claims fear to leave her room. Despite her stated fear of leaving her room, she does so and joins BF downstairs. To get to BF's bedroom, this should blow everybody's mind right here. No girl does this. Okay. To get to BF's bedroom, DM passes the front door of the residence. BF, mind you, was just steps from the door the whole time. Neither of them left the house. Neither of them called friends, family, or law enforcement for help. Instead, both have a substantial amount of activity beginning in earnest less than 4 hours after DM made her way to BF's room. BF and DM communicate with friends and parents, and DM is on social motherfucking media. Nothing to see here? You guys, if this was the Karen Reed case, there'd be people outside of Boise's, what do you call it, with signs. With signs. You guys think Jennifer McCabe's Google search, Hos Long to die? These people were in the house. These people are just putting contacts on their phone at 3:51 in the morning, a new person. Anytime somebody puts a new contact in your phone, you are with them 99.9% of the time. The second grouping of messages the state claims fit within the exception of the hearsay rule are those from DM to her roommates beginning at 10:23 a.m., 6 hours later. The state claims DM woke up and realized her roommates had not responded to her earlier text. And if you actually look at it, it's exactly what this is about to try to claim. Because she says to Kaylee, please answer, like she did the night before, right? The state is wrong. DM was awake. She was messaging on Snapchat. She was on Instagram and she texted with her dad. And this is not an exhaustive list of activity on her phone. She was with BF, who was also communicating with her parents and then later friends. Mr. Culver urges the court to view the state's request with consideration of the complete picture. The state has asked the court to look at a timeline, and Mr. Culver urges the court to look at everything that occurred during that timeline. Where's fucking the outrage? This isn't normal. Now, join me right back. Another live starts right now.